Okay, so it looks like, yeah, we're live. Okay, so,
All right,
so I'll stand up and go like this, and we'll do that. So anyway, we'll get in here real close.
Yeah. So hi everybody, my name is Karen Chimay and I'm an energist. I work with various forms of energy. I'll introduce Kat Norwood and Dave Roberts in just a second, but just wanted to give you a preface or kind of an intro to what this particular video is going to be about. It's going to be just the very basics about energy. It's the idea behind these videos is that you can share these with the people you know who may have questions about energy, but either you don't want to answer the questions or you're not comfortable with answering the questions. You can kind of hand this off and use this as a resource. So now I will introduce Dave Roberts and then we'll get to Kat Norwood. Dave?
Okay, so first of all, I guess the reason why I'm here is because I don't know anything. My background is business. One of the things that as I was working with Karen and also with Kat, we were talking about how do you reach an executive audience, and I'll get into some of my questions in a second if Kat's going to introduce herself, but because my first question is what kind of energy we're talking about. What do I have to buy a plan or anything like that? Is it something that powers the lights here? It's a little bright here, so maybe. So I'll have to, it does seem brighter in this room. Maybe it's because you guys are here and you're energists, right?
We're glowing.
Is that what it is?
That's
So I'm already starting to glow. Can you tell it's working? For those of you who know me, I'm not usually this bright. No, I'm just kidding. So, but yeah, I have a 30 plus years of corporate background, have my own company. I'm the CEO of Roberts High Performance, and not going to get into a lot of that, but I've been working with Karen and with Kat, and we've talked about this whole thing called energist or energy, and I started asking a lot of dumb questions, and so we realized that probably these are questions that other people have too. So having that corporate background, that being an audience that you would imagine you could be serving and changing the energy level or the positive nature of companies across the planet, we decided to have this conversation and do it live, do it where other people can see. And my background is, as I've told you, some of this stuff sounds a little like gobbledygook and maybe a little like BS, and I don't really understand it.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that a lot of executives and people that you would try to introduce this topic to may have the same reaction. Right. So maybe if you can answer some of my questions. I am a man of faith, so I have a Christian background. That tends to also be an area when somebody starts talking about, energy or magical things or the universe and stuff. I mean, from my background there, that's also an area that causes me a little bit of resistance or concern. Sure. So anyway, so that's kind of where I'm coming from, and that'll be kind of the basis for some of my questions. So yeah. Anyway, I'll let Kat talk, and then I'll start asking dumb questions again.
And that's why I let Dave introduce himself, because I didn't want to be the one to say the dumb guy questions. He's open about it, just like I'm comfortable with him saying that it sounds like complete BS.
Yeah, I'm not planning to be the energist in the room. That suffice it to say that I'm very intrigued. I'm very interested, just based upon a limited amount of conversation, to really get some answers to questions, but not planning to take your job. So, okay?
All right.
Okay.
Sounds great. So I'm Kat Norwood, CEO of realty firm Global, and for me, this practice is a little bit newer. I've been really researching energy for the last 2 years,
okay,
and just starting to kind of look at my faith versus energy, and how it all kind of mingles together, which I think is very interesting, and metaphysics versus quantum physics and all that kind of stuff. So I've been expanding my own network just to figure out, okay, how do I learn more about energy? What does that look like, and how does it feel? And I have my meditation practices, which have changed and expanded, and so that's why Karen and I were introduced, so that I could learn more. And so I'm kind of in the beginning stages of this journey, which is interesting. So we've got the, I guess, master. There is no mastery, right? But experience. And then
the master and the apprentice.
The apprentice, I guess. Yeah. What are you, Yoda? I don't know.
I kind of feel like this is the Sorcerer's Apprentice from Disney's Fantasia.
Yeah. Oh, this is
She's
awesome.
like Mickey Mouse.
Oh, Mickey Mouse. All right.
And Dave is like the broom.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So we'll go with Disney. I'm a fan of Disney.
Okay, so, well, why don't we just get into it? Because
Sure.
we're going to go for maybe 30 minutes at the most, right? And then we'll, I doubt that you'll answer all my questions in
Probably
the next
not.
30 minutes, or that we'll get to where I'm understanding and ready to jump in here. So probably be maybe a few more of these to come, right? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Or- okay.
And as long as you guys keep sending in questions, we will do our best to answer. If not during the video where you send them in later videos, or if it's something small within the Facebook chat offline. So
Okay.
we'll do our best.
So let me ask the most basic question. When you say I'm an energist, or you're talking about energy, help me understand what you're talking about. I mean, I understand my physical body. I understand. I mean, I have chiropractic. I go to a doctor. I go to things, and I know kind of that I have sometimes good days, bad days. Sometimes I say my energy level is low. I don't know that I'm referring to the same thing you're talking about. Sometimes I say I'm full of energy. What does that mean? I mean, when you say energy,
Right.
what are you talking about?
So energy in itself, I am going to do my best to stay off of dogma so that we...
Yeah, be
so,
dumb, because
yeah.
I'm not even sure I know what dogma means.
Religion.
I'm just teasing.
I'm going to stay away from religion. I'll try to stay away from religion because it kind of, it's so much bigger than that. So when people talk about energy and energy work, there is a, we'll call it universal source. Some people call it God, some people call it prana, it's been called chi or ki. Different religions, different groups of people have different names for it, but just about everyone recognizes it as something that's available. It's kind of a life energy. That's chi is life energy, is what
Okay.
it means. Prana, life energy as well. So just about every civilization has recognized that there's something outside of your physical body.
Okay.
This is also the thing that when you walk into a room and something feels off, you don't know why, it's an empty room, but you don't want to be there. Your energy is sensing, you're interacting with the energy in that room. So the human body is surrounded by, we'll call it an electromagnetic field. That's what science is calling it, an electromagnetic field. That can be argued one way or another, but it's surrounded by some kind of field. That field interacts with your environment. Everybody has one, everything has one, because at the core of everything, we're all a bunch of atoms, molecules that are just vibrating at different rates. So people vibrate at different rates. Everybody has a different frequency to the field that's surrounding them, and that's what you're interacting with. So you walk into a room and it feels weird, or you meet somebody and they just rub you the wrong way, having never said anything, knowing nothing about them. That's that interaction that's happening. And the human...
So it's not just their appearance.
Well, it could be their appearance, but assuming they look just like you.
Yeah. So if I walked into myself in the room and I hated myself, then I would have bad energy.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be fun and interesting. We could have a whole discussion about that.
Yeah. Mirrors. It would be good.
But and this energy field extends anywhere from 2 to 5 feet outside of your body. On a really good day, it can extend further. Different people have different sized energy. Some people have, if you say they're full of life or they're big people, it's not necessarily their physicality, it's how their energy field interacts with those around them.
So it's not how much food they're eating, it's
Not
how big they
necessarily.
are. It's,
Right,
could
right.
be big energy, little person. Is that-
Exactly.
Really?
Exactly. And it could be really big person, very little energy.
So do I have big energy or little energy?
You have big energy. You
Do
have
I?
good energy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
you do. You do.
Don't front. It's
Thanks.
okay.
So it's not a bad thing.
No.
It's not a bad thing.
No, I don't think there is bad energy. I mean, there could be energy that maybe is harder to be around, but it's just that person's energy.
Yeah,
That's my
that's-
viewpoint.
Oh, so there's so I could carry with me an energy
Sure.
that's like let me relate to something. So like a magnetic energy where I'm plus repels plus and minus. Is it like that? I mean, almost like where there's some people that my energy would be drawn to, that their energy would be drawn, is it that the way, work that way? Or, I mean, that's kind of,
I can answer.
do you understand?
Yes, I think that people are generally drawn to who they're similar to in a lot of sense in their energy. It's really hard, I think, for somebody who is maybe, let's say, sad all the time or angry all the time, and then you get around somebody that maybe is at a higher state of happy and joy and peace. They may not necessarily weld or mesh as well together, right?
As a rule,
as a rule, it would be harder for them to be around that person. And so, not that you can't be around that person, but it's not a person you're going to be drawn to. Whereas if you're at a higher state, I think you would be more drawn to somebody that has the same energy as you, correct?
I would just make one little tweak that 2 levels of frequency will not be able to coexist for a long period of time.
Right.
So people who are really sad might be naturally drawn to people who are happy and have lots of life because they're sucking, they're pulling that energy out. However, that relationship won't last because the lower frequency, we'll get into this more, but the person who is sadder, we'll say lower on the emotional scale, either in order for that relationship to stay and be stable, either the lower person has to come up or the higher person has to come down. It's equilibrium. It works just like with water, where you can't have 2 containers that are connected and one side the water will be high and the other will be low. They have to even out. So if you have somebody who's incredibly positive all the time and their energy is good, they won't be able to drop for a long period of time. They might do it for a short period of time, but they won't be able to maintain that because they'll become miserable.
Yep.
And so one way or the other, that relationship will have to sever because those 2 frequencies can't coexist.
So what I think I'm hearing is, so you're saying that somebody with a lower level of energy,
right,
is that manifest in their attitude?
Yes.
Like, so like, if you saw somebody that was really having a rough time, like I've been around people where I've tried to help them, and they've been in a bad place. That's more the whole higher low energy is that situational? I mean, is that like I could be low energy today and high energy tomorrow? Is that possible?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think everybody kind of fluctuates depending on their day. I mean, if you have a really bad day, it can be harder to be at a higher state. Let's think about somebody that's depressed, though, right? When you think about somebody that's depressed, it's a long period of time.
Right.
They have a certain look and feel to them. Slumped over. There's probably not a smile on their face. There maybe isn't light coming kind of out of their eyes. Slower to walk. Maybe they don't want to eat. Maybe they don't want to get out of bed. Maybe they're just sad, right? You can think of a sad person. Now let's think of a ecstatic person. What do they look like? Happy, I'm jumping all around. Maybe their face is shining, their eyes are glowing. It's a different state. Does that make sense? So I think people tend to stay in whatever state that they are trained to be in. It is a training, right? So if you train yourself to be on a higher level, you'll tend to stay there, but we're all human.
So there's.
Is there an energy? Is there an energy inertia then? I mean, Arlen, like you get to a certain level and you kind of get to what you would call, what maybe even if it's not a good place, that you're stabilized at, and you just kind of stay there, or is that a tendency, or is that? I'm just trying to understand. Just trying to understand, because some people, like I say, some people that I encounter are generally positive, and generally when I'm around them, when I leave them, I feel better. Does that make sense? So is that energy? I mean, and sometimes some people around me, that every time I'm around them, I feel drained.
Right.
By the time I'm done, like emotionally exhausted. It may not even be doing anything other than just hanging around. Is that energy, or is that something else?
No, it is. So our thoughts have very specific frequencies. This has been measured. There's a really good book called Power versus Force. You might want to write this down. It's a good book called Power versus Force. And in the Power versus Force, and there is
write it down for me after?
I can write it down for you afterwards. Yeah, I'll get a little pen.
I do have a dumb question. That was one of my dumb questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a really good pyramid hierarchy of feelings, and our thoughts have a very specific vibration to them. and those correlate with feelings.
Okay.
So on the lower end, at the very bottom is guilt. At the very bottom of that pyramid is guilt. That's going to be the lowest.
The victim stage, right?
No, it's actually guilt. It's beyond. It's a specific.
Okay.
Because some
We're talking
victims
about
are
two
just
different
angry.
things,
Yeah.
Sorry.
The feeling of guilt is the lowest vibrational thought frequency that you can have. Love is at about 200. Enlightenment is at about 700 and
Oh, I see
above.
where you're going. Yeah, okay.
So each feeling has a corresponding frequency that your brain is these thoughts have a corresponding frequency which affects your body and therefore affects the field that surrounds your body.
Okay.
So you can relate all of these to thoughts and feelings. So someone who is constantly feeling low, anger, bitterness, envy, resentment, guilt. Though those are on the lower vibration, they will not be able to be around someone who's constantly feeling love or feeling joy or feeling bliss. Now, it can fluctuate on a daily basis. Everyone has bad days, but in general, happy people will tend to be happy. They may have a bad day, but they'll tend to be happy overall. And it's something that you can absolutely work on. It's work to raise your vibration, to raise the types of thoughts that are going through your head and the kind of feelings that you're feeling is possible. It's simple, but it is not necessarily easy.
Yeah.
And that's a really important distinction. A lot of people think simple means easy. It's a very simple process. It's not easy if you're constantly feeling anger to go from anger to constantly feing love.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm.
And it's a mastery, right? And a journey.
It's
right? It's definitely a journey.
It is a huge journey.
And it never ends. But
never
it's
ends.
amazing, right? Because
Yeah.
you will learn these different spectrums. And if you don't understand anger,
Yeah.
you can't understand joy. Right? If you don't understand sadness, you can't understand ecstasy. I mean, you just have these different ranges. And so it's learning how to, one, be emotionally intimate with yourself. And mentally intimate with
And
yourself,
honest.
and honest, right?
Honest, yeah.
And know what's going on in your mind. If you're, you have what, billions of thoughts every single day. If you don't know and are conscious of, oh, this is something I'm repeating all the time, you can't then fix it or stop it from occurring, or at least rearrange your thoughts, right? Because I don't know if you ever stop it, but you can say, hey, right now I'm thinking that I'm not worthy, but I'm accountable for it. And actually, I am worthy. That's not who I am. You know, and being aware of it.
Or you can go, you can remove from that logical step. You can say, right now I feel horrible.
Yes.
And I just want to not talk to anybody or scream at everyone.
And embrace that.
Yeah. Are you going to embrace, I hate everyone right now? Or do you stop and say, this isn't right. This needs to change. Let's change that feeling.
Right.
So you don't necessarily have to do the whole psychoanalysis of I don't feel. I mean,
Right.
if you can do that, great. But a lot of people can't get down to that level of I'm feeling unworthy. They're just I'm angry. I hate everyone.
And acknowledging that emotion, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where our emotional beings. That's what makes us human. And saying I am angry, and it's okay, but it's not who I want to be. So let me change that. To
Okay,
a
so
different
but
state.
as far as energy goes, is energy something I'm creating?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's
Constantly.
coming from me.
Yes.
And everything. This fish
Yes,
behind
you-
you has an energy.
Yes, it is. It is something that you are creating yourself.
Yeah.
So cat cannot affect your energy.
No.
She might impact it on a momentary basis if somebody says something that pisses you off.
It may trigger
That-
something inside of you.
But it's your energy at any given point is something that you are creating and recognizing, but even more than that, fully capable of changing.
Yep.
Fully
So
in
is it,
control.
so is, I mean, there's saying it's not what happens to me, it's how I react to it. Is that
Yep.
an energy thing? So in other words,
Yep.
when people say, how are you? And I say, I'm always good.
Mhm.
That's really, I'm making a conscious effort to say I'm good,
Yes.
as opposed to saying, oh, I'm okay, or going to a place where I'm analyzing all the bad things that happened to me and why I'm not good. I'm starting from a place of I'm always good.
Yes.
There's always something good about me.
Yes.
You know, I may not be in the best situation, the things may not have gone as well as other days, but I'm always good.
Yes.
I mean, there's always something. I have, you know, is that
Yes.
energy?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You are affecting, so that is not energy, that's a thought, but that thought is affecting the energy that you are putting out to the world.
Okay.
Yes.
So does that, things like, I'm just thinking of the connection. So even things that you do, like smiling,
Mm-hmm.
intentionally smiling, even if your natural reaction would be to scowl
Right.
or to just be concentrating or knitting your eyebrows or whatever. But if you make a conscious effort to smile, does that affect the
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think there have been tests done showing that if you smile for long enough, you will start to feel happy.
They actually did a test with depressed people. It was
Yeah.
a group of 400 people. They gave them all placebos for the time that they were there. And with those placebos, they actually only told them the one thing that they needed to do was smile for an hour. And instead of them being depressed still, they thought it was maybe the pill, but it was actually them smiling. That's what changed their physiology. It
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
the actual medicine.
Yeah. It is your brain and your thoughts are fully in control of what's going on with you at any given point. So you don't necessarily need medication to alter what's going on with you. And we'll get into this later, but that is absolutely true for diseases, for emotions, for anything. Your brain will control what's going on with you.
Yep.
So, okay, so that's initial medications, diseases. So, does the disease impact my energy, or does my energy impact a disease?
Your energy will impact the disease.
Yeah.
Diseases, the only thing a disease is an indication that something is off with your body. That's all a disease is. That's why you can have cancer patients that go into spontaneous remission. That's why you can have all sorts of crazy things that are considered miracles by the medical community, because there's no explanation for why it changed unless you talk to the people who had the miracle happen and they start telling you, well, I was thinking positive. I refuse to.
Well, no, there's
let
people in the
anything
Christian
into-"
community, there's people that
Right.
actually choose not to, you know, and pray and I don't know, and come away, and and people are, you know, praying with them and, you know, and surrounding them with
Right.
good energy, I guess, right?
Yep.
And then that results in their healing or some unexpected healing. So again, you said a higher power, God, you know, the
Right.
connection.
Yeah.
That's where energy comes from.
Yep.
So
You know,
that's
that higher
yeah.
power that.
So it's you can call it God, you can call it the universe, you can call it chi, you can call it prana. Again, you can go into the religious side, there's nothing wrong with it, but they all explain exactly the same thing. It's one universal source that everything and everyone is connected to. It may be at different levels, but everyone can tap into it if you know how. Which is why you can pray and have a disease disappear, or you can have somebody work on you. Laying on of hands is something that happens in Christianity.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
Same thing. That's what they're doing. The person who is laying on their hands is actually tapping into that energy source and transferring it to you.
Hmm.
So that's how that works. And energy work is energy work. It's being able to tap into that universal source and use it to affect other people.
So basically, you're channeling God
Yes.
in case of
Yes.
through you to that person.
Yes.
So you can add energy, or the whole concept of, yeah, boy, that was a really draining experience for me to meet with that person.
Yes.
That happens with you a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
I do that.
I think you're an energy vampire, actually.
I try.
No,
work hard.
I'm teasing. No, she's not at all. No, I'm just teasing, just having fun. So, but there are people that I think, just based upon at least the way you've described it, are kind of energy vampires.
Yeah.
They tend to come, they're needy or whatever, but and they walk away feeling
better.
and I walk away feeling worse.
Right.
Is that possible?
Yeah, so what happens with those people is they're vibrating at such a low rate that they've pretty much become a black hole.
Huh.
That's how they work. They've become a black hole, and they need to fill that. In order to stay alive, you have to have life force. You just do. That black hole needs to be constantly replenished.
Sorry about that. We got a phone call while we were doing this, so we're back.
So, yeah, what they tend to become a black hole, and they will gravitate towards people who are vibrating at a higher frequency because they can drain you. It's kind of like being insanely thirsty and finding everyone around you who has full cups of water. Now, they're not turning on the spigot and they're not telling you, I'm going to drink your water, and so you have to refill. They're just going to drink your water and then move on to someone who has a full cup and the next person who has a full cup, leaving you totally drained, not knowing why or how, but just knowing you feel horrible.
Okay, so let me change gears on you a little bit. So I think I understand, at least I have a better understanding of this energy thing, because it is something that's, like I said, is it like your, I guess before, is it, I mean, people, you talk about your soul. Is that part of your, I mean, is that,
so the soul discussion,
your physical body dies,
right,
but again, in Christianity or whatever, your soul lives on,
right,
you're not ever totally destroyed in my belief system.
right,
You know, you go to heaven, you go to a different place, or to hell, you know, depending on, but I won't get into that, but I'm just saying, so if is that my energy, or is that part of my energy, or is that the source of my, I don't know, what do you?
Yes, so the belief that we operate under, and I say belief because people can dispute this and there can be a whole discussion around that, is that your physical body is actually the smallest part of you.
I don't know enough to dispute, I'm actually just trying to
understand
what you understand and try to connect that to what, it's kind of like you're speaking a different language to me and I'm trying to translate it into English.
Sure, but I'm allowing for the fact that somebody may say, no, that's not right, and that's okay. We have no problem with that. So the way I see it is your physical body is the smallest part of you. Outside of you, you're living inside of your soul or your higher self. Some people might call it your higher self, some people may call it your connection to God, your soul. So that is actually what your physical body is living inside of. That's your energy field. And within that field are, there's a specific layer for the spiritual part of you, there's a specific layer for the emotional part of you, there's a specific, there are 4 specific layers, each one corresponding to the mental side, and 4 or 5 depending on who you talk to. So I'm
talking to you because I'm already confused.
So your physical body is the smallest part of you, and outside of your physical body is, so your body lives inside your soul. It's not like your soul lives inside your body. So when you come up to somebody and they don't feel right, you can say your souls are checking each other out. Or you walk into a room and it feels wrong, you can look at it like your soul is checking out the room and going, no. And that's what the gut feeling is. It's your body interpreting, your body and your brain interpreting that message.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what, and this one's probably one that we'll have to come back to so other than doing things with my physical body or in my mind, I mean, how do you affect, is there other ways to affect energy level? I mean, when you say, you start to say energy work and stuff like that, and I don't get that.
Yeah, I think you could definitely increase your vibration and get from a different level, but it's learning to even feel your vibration and feel what state you're in and know what your emotions are and what your thoughts are and calming it down, right? And just being in tune with you and just being.
You can monitor it. Just you can check out how you're feeling. I mean, a lot of people say this, but it's actually true. The way you're feeling is a very good indicator of where you are vibrating.
Right.
If you're feeling happy, you're going to be vibrating completely different than when you're angry.
Right.
And you can feel, you can be behind somebody not looking at their face, and they just, their face is angry.
Right.
Mhm.
It's because that feeling, that thought is vibrating all around them, which is why you don't have to see their face. Just walk up to them and oh, bad time, turn around and walk away.
It's got a feel to it, right?
Right.
And
So it's, you can just monitor the way you feel,
right.
and the better you feel, the higher the vibration, the higher the frequency of your vibration.
So if you're feeling, let me ask you this, because this is, so if I'm really angry or really depressed or really feeling guilty, am I less sensitive to other people's energy at that point, or am I more sensitive? Or, I mean, it would seem like, again, I'm just
Sure.
connecting the dots, right? I'm just thinking, okay, so it would seem like if you were at a low point, you would be somewhat just trying to survive.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Am I making sense?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So,
Right.
but if you're at a higher place, you might be more sensitive to the energy of the person, that angry person. If I was really angry too,
Right.
I'm not sure I would give a rip whether that person was angry, and I probably wouldn't sense their energy.
It
or
would actually
even
feel
it.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The lower you get on the frequency, on the vibration frequency chain, the further away you are from, we'll say from God, we'll call it from
Uh-huh.
God, right? So you are not going to have the capacity to interact with other people. The less you are feeling good, the less capacity you have for interacting with others. Also, you're cutting off your life force, which means if you sustain that for a prolonged period of time, disease will set in.
Yep.
You'll start feeling bad, and then your body will start shutting down. That's where heart attacks, strokes, from people who are constantly stressed, constantly angry, that it shuts off your life force. So you don't have the capacity to interact with people. You don't care about how other people feel. Even if you did care, you don't have the capacity to interact with them.
Huh. So losing important people in your life or something can affect your energy level to the point where you've given up on your life force or whatever, and maybe why premature death and those kinds of, I mean, is that
Absolutely.
what you're saying? Is that
Yes.
what you're,
Yes, absolutely.
wow, it's kind of scary.
Yes.
But
But it's also,
it's
Not
what
funny,
you're,
but
it's
it's
what you're
scary, yeah.
choosing, though. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's and there's no wrong way. It's just
Right.
what you've chosen for yourself. You know, you've chosen to be in that state, but you can always choose to be in the other way.
right.
It just, like she said, it's simple, not easy.
Yeah.
You have to work on it, right? If when you lose somebody you love, of course you're going to grieve. Of course you're going to feel sad. Of course you're going to have all those emotions because we're a human and we're a being. But you can choose to grieve through that and work through that and achieve a different state.
Or you can choose to just give up.
So
And it might not be a conscious choice, but it's still a choice that's being made. Are you going to give up, or are you going to live?
But I think, forget about, or not forget about, but let's move away from life and death
Yeah.
decisions, but let's just say,
Losing a friend.
yeah, actually where I was gonna go is so I can decide that it's okay for me to be angry or all the time, and that's the way I'm gonna operate, but I've just decided to be at that lower energy level, is that
Yes.
right? 'Cause so you can actually do that, and then that, and again, connecting the dots of what you're saying, it sounds like you're telling me that if I decide to be there, I'm also gonna be more susceptible to illness and those kinds of things too?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You could probably think of a situation.
So being happy keeps me healthier?
Yes, it
So
does.
happy and healthy actually tie together?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Literally
Is it
on a
happy make
physical-
healthy or healthy make happy?
Happy makes healthy.
Yep.
Actually, there are a lot of healthy people that are very unhappy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So happy does make healthy.
Yep.
So you could be really healthy, but if you're not happy, the energy could impact your health even if you were physically doing all the right things.
Yes.
Yep. Yep. Because you can.
Yeah, I've run across people like that that they exercise all the time and they do things, and they do eat all the right things, but they're generally not happy people.
Yeah.
I mean, even though they're getting all those endorphins and stuff from running, they still, for whatever reason. So, I mean, are hormones and endorphins that are they affected by energy too? You know, those kinds of things, or
No, but they can affect your energy. But it will be a temporary effect.
Okay.
It will be a temporary effect because you're drugging yourself. That's what hormones are. They're the four main happy hormones are endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. Those are the four main, and that I could go into a whole other discussion about why our society now is addicted to dopamine because it's an easy fix. But we can go into that if you want a show about that. But otherwise, do some research.
No, I don't. I'm a dope. I don't want to talk about dopamine.
But those endorphins and dopamines are easy fixes, and they cause addiction. So yes, you can absolutely get addicted to the good feeling hormones because they keep you happy. The problem is when you are unable to get the fix. If you're not a happy person and you're not working at being happy, you're going to spiral down really quickly.
Okay.
Think of them like crack. So endorphins and dopamine, they literally are like crack. And if you can't get your fix, you'll spiral down unless you know how.
So like somebody that would be, I've seen people that are literally, they seem addicted to like running.
They are addicted to running.
And so that is a legitimate thing.
Yes.
I mean, and so, but is that a dependency that's necessarily, it's not necessarily tied to their energy, it's just giving them I don't know.
Well, so think of how they would be affected if
Are we
they
going
hurt
down
themselves.
the rabbit hole here?
Yeah, a little bit. But it's
Well, that's why we call it
yeah,
that, 'cause,
exactly. Think of how they would be affected if they tore a tendon and couldn't run. Could they
No,
be
I've
happy?
actually
So-
known people that couldn't run and their whole
Life spiraled out of control.
or they just generally weren't the same person that I knew that when they
Right.
were running all the time. You know, they just didn't feel.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And the lower emotions, they're easy. They're easy. It's easy to get angry. It's easy to be a victim. It's easy to just not care. The higher happier emotions, those are harder. But if you can master how to stay there, then your life becomes a lot better and you become healthier.
I think you have to look at life as a training ground,
Yeah.
you know, and how are you going to react to somebody cutting you off? Because you can react in two ways. You can be like, this guy is such a jerk, and throw up your hands and do whatever you want.
I just run them off.
Or run them
Yeah.
off, right? And what kind of impact is
They'll get mad,
that
just
going to
leave.
leave with them, right? If you do that, what kind of impact is that going to leave?
Then I might
Or-
feel guilty, right? Which would be
Then
really
low,
really
exactly.
low.
Right.
Especially when you're in jail.
Or
Yeah.
you could be like, okay, whatever. You know, and just kind of go with the flow. I mean, or just be, I'm always fascinated with it. I'm like, wow, what made you decide to go over 4 lanes and nearly hit this border in 5 other cars? Like, what went through your mind? Like, I'm fascinated. I actually want to know why you went over 5 lanes and nearly crashed. I just, was it so important to you? And that's where I go. But I know other people that they're driving and they're like, that is it. I'm angry now and you have ruined my day. Like, I can't, you know, you were the worst human being because you cut me off.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just about how are you reacting to it. And life is going to give you those opportunities to train.
Mhm.
It's just how are you going to be.
But coming back to this effect on energy, when you go there, you're cutting off your life force.
Yep.
Stressful jobs do the same thing. Stressful job. People who are constantly under pressure, they're cutting off their life force, and it will start affecting them. It'll affect everyone around them as well.
Yeah, that's a big challenge for executive. I can tell you from a personal standpoint,
Right.
stress is a killer.
It literally is a
literally
killer.
when I was, you know, in the corporate world doing the large deals and went in for my physical and all of the markers, all the things, you know, my blood work, all these other things,
Right.
body mass, all these other indications were that I was like 7 years older than my chronological age.
Yes.
And then when I got out of the stressful environment, retired, started, you know, doing things that I felt mattered, working, you know, spending more time with my family and friends and kids and having an impact on their life. A little over a year later, I went back, had another physical, and my body age was 13 years younger than my chronological age. So literally, by the
20-year change.
20-year shift,
Yeah.
I tie largely back. No, because of the lack of stress and additional time, I started doing things like working out and increasing my endorphins and doing things and reduce, body fat and improve BMI and started eating better, not being on the road and all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are things that you can do, but that energy, that negative energy of the stress,
Yeah.
is stress stress depletes energy?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so it
absolutely.
affects energy, but okay,
And I think you said something key there. You started doing things that fulfilled you,
right.
right? You started hanging out with your family. That obviously fulfilled you. Your whole face lit up when you talked
Yeah.
about your family, right?
Yeah.
So if you're constantly doing things that fulfill you, you're going to have a higher set of energy. And if you don't feel that within work,
Yeah.
you
Where
know,
you're spending
or
a good majority of
your time,
yeah.
you're going to feel depleted because it's not something that you feel fulfilled with.
And looking at it from an executive standpoint, if you're doing that to yourself, you are also doing it to everyone underneath you, down to
Yes.
the janitor. And
So that's why
it's
they
growing.
avoided me.
Yes. and with every level, the impact grows. So it's not like what you're doing to yourself, you're doing to the janitor. With every level that it goes down the organization, it grows. Because the person just below you is stressed out because you're stressed. So now they're even more stressed because they have to please you. And then it goes down 2 levels, and now not only does this person have to please their boss, but they have to please their boss's boss. So the further away you get from the executive, the more impact it has on you as an employee,
Right.
which is why people are stroking out at work. They're having heart attacks. There's constant sickness. There's churn in corporations. I think the average lifespan of an employee now is about 2 years because corporate environments have become so toxic that people can't handle them for health reasons, psychological reasons, whatever reasons. But it all starts at the executive, and then it works its way down,
Exactly.
growing with each level.
It's what impact are you leaving, right?
Yeah.
Because if you come in and you're angry and you're, this has got to get done and you've got to do it, and then that next person's going to that next person, I'm like,
Right.
you've got to get this done right now because they're trying to change what's going on up to the top.
So,
Right.
okay, so, but, that's one of the things, whether it's with, my family getting
Right.
ready to go on vacation, or whether it's an organization that I have a sense of urgency to accomplish something, and I'm stressed out about it or whatever, trying to get them on the same page,
Right.
trying to get them as motivated to get this done as me, you can actually be counterproductive in doing that. In other words, if I'm doing it for the wrong reasons or not in touch with myself.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, if I came up to you and had such passion about doing a project,
Yeah.
and then also came up to you and was very angry, which one would you respond to?
Well, if you were passionate about it, I would respond to it.
Right.
I mean, if you were angry about it, if I worked for you and you controlled whether I took home a paycheck or not, I might
Do it from
do
fear,
it for fear.
right?
Yeah.
Not from
So
a
fear.
place of excitement.
And fear is not a good motivator. Fear will not make you work harder.
No.
Because what happens chemically in the brain is when you are thrown, as a human being, when you are thrown into survival mode,
Right.
your brain shuts down. You
Right.
actually lose the ability to think. And I know
So
some
I go
women,
into my reptilian brain,
yeah, and it's actually worse for women than it is for men. Sorry, ladies, depending on how you take this, but we do react a lot differently to being yelled at than men do.
Yep.
I have 4 daughters, so I can relate
Yeah.
to that.
So it's, and I mean, men know this, but we react differently. Our brains, when I'm yelled at, I literally cannot respond. I can't, the best I can do is get out of there as fast as possible. I can't respond. I can't think of a response. Even if there was a really good, let's say you're upset, even if there was a really good logical reason, and had I been able to give it to you, you would have said, oh, you're absolutely right. If you're coming at me upset, whether you're a man, it's worse with men upset with women, but if you're coming at me with upset, my brain will shut down. I will not be able to respond, which will probably upset you even more and spiral the whole thing down. So if you're looking at it as an executive or as a father, as head of a household, or as a mother, that kind of reaction or that kind of place being in constantly, there is no upside to it. You're actually counteracting anything that you want done.
Okay. You know what? I think I have kind of enough here to mentally chew on as far as
Okay.
as far as what I don't understand. Where I want to go, but we probably should wait till we get back together again.
Uh-huh.
Is I'd like to talk about this thing you keep calling energy work,
Okay.
and talk about not only how, I mean, because we've kind of talked about what it is, and
Yes.
we've kind of talked about how I can affect it, how things that I do, and how it manifests itself, and how
you affect
and how
your
I
environment.
affect my energy and subsequently people around me and
Yes.
those kinds of things. And there's probably some things that we could explore on that,
Yes.
which are kind of scary in their own way. But I really like. Oh, that's just saying the
Okay.
battery's low. It doesn't affect anything. So my battery's low. My energy is down. It's even showing up on the screen.
We've done so much work for you energy people, we've actually drained the phone. So, just so you know.
Yeah, I've learned that this Facebook Live does drain the phone battery
Yeah.
pretty fast. But anyway, so maybe we could tee that up for next time, and so
Okay.
you could kind of think about what it is that energy work means, and what I would be if I said, okay, you know, I'd like you to help me with my energy level.
Right.
Do energy work for me. What would that be, and what would that look like? And then
Yeah.
I've got a whole list of dumb questions on that.
That will probably take a whole
Probably,
show.
well, that'll probably
So-
just the show of understanding what it looks like, and then probably talking about more about how and why, some of those things might overflow into other
Yes.
Yeah,
discussions.
no, for
Yes.
sure.
Is that
Sounds great.
reasonable?
I think that's perfect. Yes, this is a good.
I think we
Yeah.
spent enough time here today. I'm already overwhelmed, but this is good. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, Karen and Kat. I appreciate your helping me understand. I would like to say I fully understand now, but I don't. So, and
Don't worry, we don't either.
And I'm working on the "it's not BS anymore" part. So, but
That's okay.
I'm starting to connect it to things I actually do believe and understand. So,
Okay.
so that's helpful. So,
You may get there one day.
yeah,
You
someday.
may go, maybe not BS.
Yeah.
Hey.
There's plenty of people in my life that have given up on me understanding certain things. So,
It's okay.
yeah.
It's okay.
All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
I think you have to close that.